This is the Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall.
Let's go nuts! It's Jimmy Nuts! Right out of the door!
With your hosts, Mark Martinez.
Because I'm the Mark and I'm awesome!
The Guru.
Today I'm going to break it down for all you simpleton sweat hogs listening out there in Can Crusher Nation. I don't mean to come out here week after week and toot my own horn, but toot.
And the English Professor.
It is I, the English professor from the County of Kings, speaking the English of the Queen.
Hey, this is former WWE superstar Duke the Dumpster Droese, and you are listening to the Can Crushers Podcast.
And thank you for joining us here on Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast. Today is a special day. Why is today a special? I don't know. There's no specialness about this. I am just happy to have my two friends with me here on the show. One flipping paperwork. If he's not eating, he's being an asshole going through his own biography. I was going to call you guys the Bald and Beautiful, and you guys could figure out who it was, but we have the asshole and we have Chad. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
I'm going through papers for the show is what I'm doing.
Most people do that beforehand so they're not making noise. I mean, even when an asshole like Pat notices shit.
Really? What are you doing? This is really. We talked 5 minutes prior to the show, and now you're just shuffling like you've just written your notes.
I'm going to be honest. I don't think this is this week's. Looking through this right now.
So you don't know where your stuff is?
I don't. I think I have the wrong clipboard.
How many clipboards do you have?
2.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So you need to pardon yourself and go find the new stuff.
I think so.
We promise not to rag on you too much.
Oh my God.
You know, can't we bring Pat in for this show?
There's a lot of other people.
No, you don't want to. No, believe me, you don't want to go that route.
There's a lot of other people I could think about that wouldn't be shuffling papers right now. So, Chad, how was your week? At least let him go on his merry way, and maybe he'll catch back up with us.
Uneventful week. Didn't really do anything.
You're kind of bummed a little bit, too.
Yeah, tax returns haven't come in, so I can't go buy new shit. Or buy other wrestling belts. And was supposed to go fishing yesterday. Trip got canceled, safety reasons. A lot of ice on the river, which... You know,
that's good.
Yeah, that's a good thing that the guy looks out for. But that was something I was kind of looking forward to. But shit happens.
Yeah, I don't need you and Nate being the Titanic.
Yeah,
you don't make a good Rose.
I'm not gonna float either. I don't give a fuck how big the piece of debris is that I'm on. I'm not gonna float. I'm beyond about 80 pounds beyond that.
Nice. All right. Well. English professor, did your secretary bring you what you needed?
She did, yes. She did, so I'm all set.
Good. How was your week?
Fine. Yeah. Not bad.
Wow. That's it.
That's it. Yeah, I live a boring life these days.
We get shuffling of papers, and then it was fine.
All right, now I'm set. I've got so much good stuff to bring to this show today.
You really?
I do, yeah.
Good. Yeah. Actually, my week was kind of uneventful, too. It really was. We didn't do a whole lot. We went out to eat this week with my dad. We went back up yesterday. I had enough beers. The rain shoveled his driveway for him, so he didn't have to worry about that, Chad, if you're going to ask.
I was going to ask.
Yeah. Other than that, I watched Twitch for a while. And watch some people play the Retromania game because I'm just jonesing for it. Essentially, it's supposed to be out this Friday because he said 2 weeks for the Switch and the PlayStation and stuff like that, so we'll have to see. By the way, you will hear the dogs all show. Chad brought them their monthly toys, and Miggy is going nuts trying to rip it apart. So that's my PSA.
So if it's not me, then it's the dogs.
Right, yeah, it's never me or Chad.
No, it's always me and the dogs.
Yeah. Did you eat your cereal yet this morning? Or is that going to be delivered?
I'm abstaining. No.
Oh, good.
No. Yep.
Good.
Let's get the bad out of the way.
Yeah. Again, this week we have two passings in professional wrestling. Both pretty big. One kind of locally. Chad, I'll let you touch on this one.
Yeah, Ohio Championship Wrestling, their longtime announcer, Josh Signs, suddenly passed away. There's not a lot of details out. Happened yesterday, but he was kind of their cornerstone, kind of somebody that was there the whole time. And to tell you how much he meant to some people, Jackson Argos of anyone got on and posted a heartfelt memorial thank you to him, out of kayfabe memorial to him.
Wow.
So this was somebody that meant a lot to our area wrestlers in the tri-state area.
Yeah, I saw some of his work, meaning like in-ring announcing and everything. Good. He gets you into the match. And as we know, as youngsters, we thought Howard Finkel was just, all right, here comes Andre, here comes Hogan. But it's the way they say it that the build-up is there, right, John?
Absolutely, yeah. Ring announcer is essentially the start of the performance. So it's a very important, piece of the puzzle. I'm not going to say I'm familiar or I was familiar with this gentleman's work, but if you're on Jackson Argos's radar, then you probably meant something. You're probably important and pretty special to the business.
Right. So the other one that hit a ton of the wrestling world, and we've seen it. I posted it probably 2 weeks ago that he was in, grave conditions or unsteady conditions or whatever. Jim Crockett Jr. passed away this week, and guys are out there on social media. You can feel the emotion and the tears, and from Sting to Nick Aldis to, everybody that's anybody chimed in on Crockett's passing, and he on TV he was kind of the buffoon, but what he did backstage and what he did for Crockett Promotions, man, he's our childhood.
Yeah. I remember him as being, before I realized it, and now looking back, I guess is the easier way to put it, when he was out making an announcement, you could tell he was out of place, out of his comfort zone, but he delivered it the way he should. He didn't act overly scared of the guys. And he delivered, whatever news he was going to deliver. I guess the one thing I always remember about him is that during Tully Blanchard, Dusty Rhodes, Magnum TA Bad incident, he grabbed Dusty after Dusty was beating the shit out of Tully with a bat. He grabbed Dusty from behind, and Dusty swung the bat back and caught him in the face, and he legitimately fractured his cheekbone.
Yeah.
Just, somebody that the territories, working with so many, making so many stars, you just kind of wonder, if things changed or went different here or there back then, would the Crockett's have stayed in power a lot longer? But you just can't help but notice, and how can I say it? be glad for what they did for wrestling.
Yeah. John?
Probably nobody gave Vince a run for his money more than Jim Crockett, the exception being later on Ted Turner. But during the actual territory days, people talk about Vince gobbling up territories. Jim Crockett was gobbling up territories, maybe not the right ones, but nevertheless, it was fun to see him unifying these organizations where you had guys from the UWF coming over, with their championships, or guys from Florida, guys from all these old territory, all of that kind of merging and seeing the variety of champions. It got a little crazy with all the championships, but it was still fun to see. It was fun. It gave it a real wrestling feel. Chad, you mentioned the incident with Tully Blanchard and Dusty Rhodes and the baseball bat. When he was involved, just as you say, he was kind of a stuffy suit, which worked perfectly. But he did what he had to do, said what he had to say, and then got out of there. And a case in point would be when he booked the match between Tully Blanchard and your guys' old buddy, Ricky Morton, in the leather strap match. No, the leather strap lumberjack match, where all the lumberjacks had straps they could use. He just came out, announced the match, and of course Tully took it from there and lost his mind. But what he had to do, he did well. Again, he was the stuffy suit, but he was fun, and it was a really fun era of professional wrestling. I think of 6:05 p.m. on any given day, but particularly Saturday or Sunday or whatever. But you think of 6:05 p.m., and you think of Jim Crockett.
Yeah, for sure. So, great way to end that, John. So, raise our glasses, cans, cups, whatever you guys are drinking out of this early morning to Jim Crockett and Josh from Ohio Wrestling. God bless you guys. John, you brought up one of our friends. You brought up that we're friends with Ricky Morton. Did you get to listen to that?
Not yet. I'm always going to be a week behind, just so you know. I didn't listen to Nikita until the following week. I've got Ricky on my radar for this week. Nikita was great, and everything you guys have said about Ricky Morton's interview was awesome, too. So I can't wait to listen to that.
They come out on Wednesdays. You know that,
I know.
John?
I do know that, yeah.
So you're busy, though, at work, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Taking a break from wrestling a minute. I know that, God, this is going to suck. Do you hear how loud that thing is under the table? I can only imagine what it sounds like on the podcast. Great. Sounds like a giant pig's getting killed underneath the table, by the way. Spring training baseball. Who's watching it besides me? I already have my baseball package, just to let you guys know. Boom. First day of spring training, I bought it. Ready to go.
I haven't watched a preseason game yet. I've watched some highlights on MLB.com. Yankees aren't hitting a ton, but, geez, it's March. But their pitching looks really good. That kid they just got from Pittsburgh looks really good.
Unless they're playing, I hope this was a setup, unless they're playing the Tigers, and the Tigers are hitting the shit out of them, the 2 games that they've played them so far. Just saying.
Who beat them like 15-0? Was that
That was not the Tigers.
Detroit? No. Somebody beat them 50. But if I'm not mistaken, in those games, the staff was you, me, Chad, Pat. I had never heard of any of those guys. But
right.
The game's the game, and the Tigers kicked the shit out of them.
Right. They tied on Friday, John.
Yeah. But the Pirates beat them yesterday, too. But the pitching looks solid, which makes me happy.
Right.
It looks like a devastating rotation.
I need to find out the 15-1 game now, so you have to give me a minute.
All right.
Philadelphia 15-0 them.
15-0. Yeah.
So, whatever. Like you said, it's March. I'm just excited baseball is back.
Yeah, me too.
Chad, and you can have Sylvan listen to the beginning of this. MLB The Show 2021 comes out in April this year, okay? The caveat of buying the PlayStation 5 is that in PlayStation 2021, you can create your own stadium.
Nice.
I'm pretty pumped about that. I'm still on the fence if that's the reason for me to buy it. My games will transfer over, Hunter and football and this and that, to make them PlayStation 5. The thing that sold me is, you know, Ethan's a big builder. He loves designing things. He loves building things. He's like, are you getting that? I'm like, dude, I don't know if I'm ready for the PlayStation 5 yet. I'm still playing the Odroid every moment that I get. He's like, oh, because I'd help you build a stadium. He's like, that's actually something that's really cool. So
Nice.
instantly, I'm like, I got to spend $400 to get a
So
PlayStation.
you found your excuse to get it is what you did.
I have to spend $400 to get a PlayStation 5, and
It's
then
bonding money. It's not.
It is
It's not
bonding
gameplay and
Yeah.
having fun and stuff. It's bonding.
and he's pumped about. He wants to build a stadium for me, and I'm like, have at it, dude. As long as the wall is like 100 feet on left and right fields, and all I do is hit dingers, boom. No, I don't care. It looks good. Essentially, it looks good. It's just they have newer things for the next gen stuff, but the PlayStation 4 is going to kind of still ride the same way it did last year.
Nice.
All right,
Nice.
wrestling now. Wrestling.
Sure, yeah.
Wrestling. John, I know Sylvan's birthday is at the end of the month, so
Yeah.
you have some great wrestling stuff coming his way. Pretty pumped
Oh,
about
wow.
that. No, you bought it for him, you idiot.
Oh, yeah. That was supposed to be, fortunately, some of it did come in for Christmas, but most of it didn't. So that was supposed to be Christmas, but it's going to be his birthday.
Oh, wow. Do you, Mark? I'm not buying him any. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, it's, I just.
Oh,
that's
it's-
what I
it's-
thought,
it's your
actually.
year to
Oh,
buy
wow,
my-
Uncle Mark is sending stuff?
It's your year to buy my kids stuff, Mark.
Right. What the hell's wrong
Put
with
both
me?
of our names on it.
Let's just.
Shuffle my papers here and get ready. Where we starting?
What do you have on top?
What? AEW, Raw, NXT, whatever you want.
We got to start with Raw this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course we do. We have to start with Raw. Again, you know, you guys know I DVR everything and watch it the next day. So Chad ruined Raw for me when I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday. I did not. You did ruin it. You ruined it. But it was fun to go back and rewatch. I actually, guys, listen. I took notes this week, but they're very minimalistic notes. Because I thought, all right, we have a podcast, we rip wrestling apart every week, especially the WWE. I actually sat back and watched Raw for watching Raw. They got me a couple times with the whole Miz thing. We have to start with Miz and Bobby Lashley. We have to. We can get the sub stories later. But I thought it wasn't going to happen again. And I'm like, holy shit, they're going to take this over in the fast lane. And this is going to actually end up being the fast lane main event. Until the lumberjack match happens and the Miz just loses the title.
Gets fucking destroyed.
So let me say to both of you, though, you both predicted that he was taking that to WrestleMania. I said this is probably going to set up for a Bobby Lashley-Drew McIntyre match at WrestleMania, don't you think? And you guys were like, maybe. What's it setting up for, boys?
Well, they both won big matches on the same card, so it's probably setting up for exactly what you said, Mark.
Thank you.
I still disagree. I think it's going to be Bobby Lashley and Austin Theory.
Did you guys enjoy the Miz stuff, though? I know you both hate the Miz, but did you?
I did. I liked that match. Lashley just looks like a freaking monster. He really does. And Miz is a performer. I don't know if Bobby Lashley was breaking his neck during that or if Miz is just that good. But he was turning red from his hairline down to his chest and looked like he was passing out. That looked devastating. The way Lashley ragdolled him was awesome, but Miz's end of it, looking like the ragdoll, was perfect too.
I loved it. I was getting worried. Okay, at the end of the first hour, you know, Miz was having his premenstrual cramps. Then the second hour, I figured Okay, he runs in. Sorry. He runs in, runs back out, and I figured, okay, he's going to get around this. And then thankfully, he got back in there and got the ever-loving shit beat out of him. I've never liked The Miz, and to me, this is just one more thing to prove that he's not that caliber of wrestler to have that title and to have a serious run when they're going to take it off of him in 8 days.
That was my question. By the way, update. The first toy that you brought in, Chad, is completely ripped apart, and inside of it looks like a penguin or something, is a can of Foster's beer. Not real, but that's what came out of whatever that thing is.
Miggy's looking at Chad now, too, like, you have something else for me that can rip apart?
He does. I'm just not giving it to him right now, because now there's going to be fluff all over the house right now for the next 3 days. Why put it on Miz? Why can't Bob beat Drew? Because we're setting up for the main event at WrestleMania?
That, and to make him look really dominant in winning it.
It ruins the Money in the Bank suitcase a little bit for me, too.
That thing, as much as I joke around about Otis and stuff like that, that thing was fucked from the beginning.
What,
this year?
Yeah.
It was screwed. You should never take that off of somebody when they win it. Whoever you have win it, have them either blow the fucking cash in or have them do something, like what Miz did or Edge has done in the past. Have them. You should never take that off of somebody. That's just like winning the fucking Royal Rumble and you get your title shot at WrestleMania and then you lose. You're forced into a match against fucking Sky Low and Little Beaver, and you lose your fucking match. It just...
Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, it was just screwed from the beginning, and what better way to, somebody to screw
Reset
the
it.
pooch than to fucking have Miz do it.
Yeah, because he doesn't lose any heat. He doesn't. As much as you hate him, he doesn't lose anything by losing that.
You're right about that, yeah. One other thing I want to say, Chad, speaking of taking things off of people when you shouldn't, I would have liked to have seen Lashley bring the United States Championship into this match. I don't know why he lost to Riddle. Just a little bit of history. Sting dropped the United States Championship to Rick Rude and then beat Luger for the World Championship, but that was 3 months apart. Brett lost the Intercontinental title to the Bulldog at SummerSlam in Wembley, then beat Ric Flair maybe 2 months later. My point is, there was a little bit of time in between those things, between losing one title and winning the next one, so you didn't quite see the setup coming. And they didn't really push that story. Like, you didn't know Sting versus Luger was coming up. You didn't know Brett versus Flair was coming up. This looked like they rushed the belt off of Lashley, the U.S. title, to put the WWE title on him. And to have both of them on him really would have just made him look like a monster, the monster they're trying to build. And then if he gives one up, he gives up the U.S. title, get this, guys, they could have had a tournament to...
What?
To fulfill the new champion. I would have liked to have seen him come in with both belts.
And that eats up TV and gets you watching it for a while instead of watching Retribution explode week after week.
I like Riddle. He's not U.S. Championship material. At least not yet.
Agreed. Other things that I want to talk about. We're going to get Braun against Shane McMahon at WrestleMania. That's where it's going. Who wants to see this? Everybody put your arms down because... Put them down. No,
I'm not raising my hand.
Nobody is.
I don't want to see that. No, hell no.
It's what's going to happen. That's where they're going. What kind of match can we get to see? Why?
You're in a marquee match with The Undertaker 1 year, and then you get everybody's, bitch a few years later. I hope they don't go this way. Is this a way for Shane to bring in that Abba Khan or whatever the fuck he had in the underground shit?
Does anybody care or want him back?
It's better than Shane against Strowman. You know the guy I'm talking about.
Yeah, the guy who guarded the door and was like, well, you can't go in. Well, what if I say please? Okay, that was the magic word. Go ahead in. I don't get why he kept people out. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but that was the dumbest thing.
Right.
Anyway, I don't want to go down. Yeah, I have.
What else do we have on Raw? What?
The opening match was fantastic.
Drew
I think McIntyre and Sheamus have great chemistry. Even when you can kind of tell things weren't going the way they were supposed to, they improvised beautifully and just made it look like violence. They made it look like a fight. You know, there were one or two spots that looked a little, screwy, but they covered well and did their thing. I thought probably won't be match of the year, but here we are, only March. Certainly a candidate. I thought it was that good. Best match I have seen on Raw in a long while.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I was kind of like when they announced, I was like, oh, good Lord, not again, this is going to be bad, and kind of not paying attention. And I'm watching a lot of the moves that they're doing. Yeah, this was just a big guy brawl. I'm bigger and badder than you are.
I didn't think it was going to finish. I thought some shenanigans were going to happen. It wasn't going to finish. I thought maybe you get a returning Keith Lee or something to kind of get in the middle, but I was shocked that it finished. Guys, this came out early this week that Lacey was going to win the championship from Asuka at Elimination Chamber. So WWE had to, take a direct turn the other way. Asuka's not been seen. And guess who's in the championship picture? Already. Again. And challenge Asuka.
Yeah.
John.
Yeah. Charlotte Flair, I'm going to guess?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is neither here nor there, but I'll say it anyway. When I was watching it with my wife, who doesn't watch wrestling, but she watches it with us.
Not at all.
Yeah. This is not nice, but she was wondering what happened to Charlotte. And I was like, well, she's made him bigger, then she made him smaller again. I know it's a rigorous lifestyle in the ring and you get beat up. But if you watch that tribute to Ric Flair, this is before she was a wrestler, she's in the crowd. I think she's beautiful. I still think she's a good-looking woman. I think she's had too much done. I mean, she looks like the way when Joan Rivers couldn't move her face after so many years. Why do that? You're physically gifted. You're a good-looking person. Why? And I don't know that she has or hasn't. I can't speak for her face or anything else or having anything tucked, but it doesn't look natural. Anyway.
She doesn't look like Dana Brooke did a year or so back when Dana came back. Jim Cornette said they looked like they hacked her up with a fucking chainsaw. But you look at Charlotte in the match that John's talking about. She's, not to be rude, but she's pretty much flat. And then she gets the watermelons, and now she's back to the, oranges. Her nose is chiseled. She's had work done, but like John said, why?
Yeah.
Why? Ric Flair's only nose work he got done is when somebody busted the fucker.
Anything else on Raw? Do you want to talk about the Nia and Naomi match? Because it was enthralling. John? No?
Nah. Those are the highlights for sure.
Those really were the highlights.
I may be jumping, but I can't remember where I heard this. What about Casey Catanzaro? Yeah, her injury?
That's on NXT.
Okay. I couldn't remember where it was.
We'll go there next. You want to shuffle your papers and get us to NXT, John?
I don't need to. That's next on my list.
Well, then go ahead. You can start because I have to pull up my notes.
All right. So we opened things up, I think, with the tag team match, right? Birch and Lorcan versus Ciampa and Thatcher.
Yep.
I love Tommaso Ciampa and Thatcher. I think there's something about their body language and their communication in their promos and even in the ring, on the way to the ring. that just makes me believe that they don't necessarily like each other, but they're willing to work as a team and they study tapes of their opponents. I just get that whole vibe from them that in the hallway they hate each other, but if they were to happen to get picked for each other's team in gym class, they're going to do their best to work well together. The match itself was pretty good. What can you say? They're all accomplished. I like the whole thing with the tag team title picture and MSK, and I don't know. It's a nice mixing of stories.
Go ahead.
I
like the teasing that Walter is coming back soon. I think they need to have a big man besides Austin Theory. They need to have a big, legit man on NXT now that Priest is gone, and Walter is huge in stature. Not as big as Theory, but huge in stature. So,
and he can wrestle a bit.
Yeah,
he's not just who is that? Ludwig Borga from the 80s.
I remember.
That was a big son of a bitch, but he couldn't wrestle his way out of a wet paper bag.
Yeah. John, continuing with NXT, I'll let you run with it just because I'm just...
all right.
I said notes were minimal.
Yeah, there was... Roderick Strong came out for a promo, and you hadn't watched it yet, and I texted you. I wasn't trying to be funny or ironic. I don't know what the right word here is, but I said Strong sounds kind of weak. And again, my son's going to be 11 here at the end of this month, and he was like, man, without the Undisputed Era, he's just not a good promo. He kind of isn't.
He isn't.
He kind of isn't.
No.
Chad,
I know you... Undisputed are your boys. I know you love them, but of all, Fish doesn't talk. And when he does talk, he's like Arn Anderson. He gets his point across. Roddy wants to talk, but he sounds like, I don't know, Weird Al trying to be Nirvana with a mouthful of marbles sometimes.
This is something that's haunted him back in Ring of Honor and that. Good wrestler, good to great wrestler, but he has always needed a mouthpiece, not when I say to get over, but to take him to the next level to where they want to feature him more.
Yeah.
He had a mouthpiece in Ring of Honor, then being in, with Cole and O'Reilly. Great wrestler, just needs a group. He's one of these guys that needs a group.
Yeah. Yeah. The flip side of that is the Road Dogg, who was an incredible mouthpiece, and despite the family from which he came, could not put together a match, in my opinion. There's not a memorable Road Dogg match. In any event, Roderick Strong demands that Adam Cole come out and face him and tell him why he did what he did. Finn Balor comes out instead and tells him he's got to get greedy, he's got to get rough, he's got to get mean. And he does just that. He punches Balor in the face and a fight breaks out. Then we get NXT's resident giant, Austin Theory, is at therapy with the entire way. Indy Hartwell is like doodling hearts and saying that she loves Dexter Lumis and drops innuendos throughout this entire vignette, or whatever you want to call it, that she wants to do vile things to him. And that's pretty much what this was. And then we find out Gargano actually paid off this therapist to tell Austin Theory to stay away from Dexter Lumis, I guess. Wasn't quite sure what... It went on a little too long and it was broken up into 3 segments. It was entertaining, but maybe just a touch long. Like, we get it. Indy Hartwell is hot for this guy, and Johnny Gargano wants Austin Theory to stay away from him. Period. The end.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. I'm usually not into these type of segments and that, but I was kind of chuckling at this, and I was like, I couldn't understand how the hell they can keep a straight face without busting out laughing. But this, little long, but it was pretty good.
Yeah, I imagine there were some takes, because you're right. I don't know how they got through that without some chuckles, at least. So,
what's up next, John?
We have... Oh, God, this is Ember Moon against Aaliyah from representing, what the hell is the name of that group? The Stone brand, the something Stone brand?
Stone brand, yeah.
In any case, Chad, this might be the worst match I've ever seen. And I've seen Roman Reigns wrestle Brock Lesnar.
Oh, jeez. I did not catch this one. This was on a food break.
Lucky you. This was not good. They just weren't on the same page. They were out of the ring, then back in, and none of it made sense to me. I think it broke down in a hurry, and they just kind of lost sight of where they were going. But this was a stinker.
This was the one that Jim Cornette was talking about, saying it was disorganized. I can't put it the way he did, but he said it was slightly disorganized. That something about looking like two animals trying to fuck a football or something. Mark is back. Mark had to go for a potty break.
I did not. The kids did. That's all right. Go ahead, John. I'll catch up.
Yeah,
No, just go.
we held the fort down. Do you want to give an opinion on Austin Theory at Therapy? No. And Ember Moon versus Aaliyah, I said, was about as good as Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. It was that bad. Now we're on to the women's tag team title match. Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai versus Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. I absolutely love this. It drew me in. I thought we were going to have new champs, but then I kind of saw where it was going, that they're setting up for a rematch. And the open-endedness of this match makes me think absolutely that. They could take this as far as they want to go. It ends with Dakota Kai getting a tag to Raquel Gonzalez. Raquel Gonzalez goes to kick Nia Jax, but takes the referee's head off. Another referee comes in and calls a submission on Dakota Kai, not realizing she had legally tagged out. So good psychology, good controversy, leaves it open to a rematch in the future. What do you think, Mark?
Essentially, I think that I said this before. Those NXT or those women's championships tag titles will end up on NXT here shortly. And I think Fastlane's the best place because that's when they've already booked it for Fastlane. I think to have that championship match again. And no, I'm wrong. It's Sasha and Bianca get the championship shot at.
Yeah.
But I think that you see them, nonetheless, they're going to have the titles. Kai and Gonzalez. I'm just double speaking, but that's where we're getting. Go ahead,
Chad. Anything you want to add to
No,
that?
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. All I was going to say is I hate the staged commercial breaks. WWE has done this for years. If you go back to the days of Saturday Night's Main Event, the staged commercial breaks, like guys are face-to-face or ladies are face-to-face, like they were all outside the ring and then they go to commercial. As much as you hate missing action, NWA, WCW, like Luger would be ripping Flair in half. Hey, we got to go to commercial. But at least it didn't look staged. Like this, there was a point where this just looked like they staged it for a commercial break. In any case, we find out Isaiah Swerve Scott is a DJ in his free time.
Yeah, good. At least we know something about him now.
Yeah, and he doesn't care anymore. So that's that.
Real
anybody
quick,
want to add anything to that?
Funny, John was talking about how it looks staged, going to break and coming back and everything. One thing that's been talked about and has been slipped out a little bit is with this pandemic and people not being in the audience for a majority of the shows, that they are actually stopping wrestling during the breaks.
Yeah.
And then picking it back up. And to me, that's that destroys a whole thing of momentum and flow of a match to just, it's not like you're taking a break because the guy's going to lay outside for an 8 count or something like that. No, you're like taking a break, maybe getting some Gatorade, maybe getting a rub down, by a coach from the outside or whatever the fuck they're doing. And then come back. Oh yeah, you had me in a headlock and you were getting ready to throw me into the ropes.
Yeah. We kind of touched on that at the beginning of last year when it happened, yeah.
To an extent, they've, even with live crowds at TV tapings, they've always kind of done that. Like,
they roamed
Razor
around.
tells a story of, what's that?
They roamed around the outside, essentially taking a break.
Yeah, like, Vince sent Razor out to go tell Flair and Macho Man to take a double count out because he didn't like where it was going, and then we're just going to start it again later in the show. I mean, there's a live audience there, and they do a double count out and then have a rematch later in the show. There are so many examples of starting and restarting, but to your point, not to that degree. At least you get a beginning, middle, and end. And then you can kind of tape it together the way you want. But to just like stop and pick up mid-matches, you're right. It's dangerous. It's a momentum killer. Yeah, I agree. LA Knight cuts a promo and then interferes in Bronson Reed versus Cameron Grimes match. Breezango versus Everrise never started because Legado del Fantasma comes out and beats the crap out of everybody.
I loved it.
I did too. And in Spanish, he said, anybody that gets in my way, this is what's waiting for you.
Thank you. I was wondering. Even though Martinez doesn't know, I was wondering.
All right. Kaden Carter tells Zaya she will pay for what she did to Casey Catanzaro. So, Chad, you want to touch on this? Was she actually injured then?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking up right now to see what her injury is. If you want to take it, and I'll jump back in, John.
I'll touch on it real quick. I follow her on TikTok, and I know TikTok can be pre-recorded and put out in other times, but there is a brace on some of her TikToks now that she's got on her leg when her and Carter are doing dances or something. So if she's selling it on TikTok, I think she's like, this is a legit injury because she could just be doing whatever, because she's also known for the American Ninja Warrior stuff. You know, she's somebody that's been established before NXT. I think this is legit.
Fracture.
There you go. See, I talked enough that Chad chimed in.
Yep. She's not injured in my promotion, though. She's still getting a big push.
Yeah, Lacey Evans isn't pregnant in yours either.
Lacey Evans is not pregnant in my promotion either. Just like I said, in my world, Batman did not marry Catwoman. That was Earth 2. I'm a fan of Earth 1.
Any chance Charlotte Flair's injured?
Hopefully.
No.
Damn it.
And then the show, of course, ends with Finn Balor versus Roderick Strong. They agreed to that match earlier in the evening. Actually, Finn Balor agreed to face Adam Cole, but for tonight's show, Wednesday's show, he's going to face Roderick Strong. What can you say? Those guys, the bell rings, and you just know it's going to be a special match. The two of them make it difficult to pick a match of the year. Because the second, like I said, the second the bell rings, those guys are going to put on a match of the year. Great mat wrestling, great reversals, good drama, stiff strikes. It's everything. It's everything you want.
All in all, I loved NXT. I did. I thought it was a great show. I did.
Agreed.
Same here. That match, John was saying it, stiff strikes and everything. Boy, they weren't trying to hit stuff from out of their range. I mean, they were up close and personal, and shit looked hard. I mean, when they were doing the chest chops and
I felt them.
The forearms, you could just see their chest just starting to light up, and I was like, holy shit, that's a throwback to where you're like, the early 80s, is this a fucking, real thing? Is this a shoot, or did one piss the other off and they're going to be like, okay, we're going to beat the fuck out of each other till somebody says, all right, back off? This is what this looked like with these two.
Perfect segue, because chops that did not look stiff or personal came from Shaq to Cody Rhodes.
So we're on AEW. I'll run with this.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
Shaq and Jade against Cody in Red Velvet. Right. I think this match did what it needed to do, though, John. Get Cody and Shaq the hell out of it and let Jade, who's green, it's a color as well. Jade green, huh?
Yeah. Nice.
And Red Velvet be the showcase. Red Velvet, we have not really talked a lot about her. She carried these two. I really liked Red Velvet. My biggest beef is Why the hell did Austin Gunn, Billy Gunn, QT, and all these people have... What beef do they really have on Shaq? I'm glad this match was first and he got it out of the way. I'll tell you, I'll say it that way.
You know, we talked about Jim Crockett earlier. Some of the booking, it was always, I've said this before, it was like a Super Friends cartoon where they wanted to show you who the good guys and bad guys were. And sometimes it got a little watered down or a little convoluted. And when we get to our show, I kind of book some of the same things just because I thought that was fun. But it just seems it doesn't work as well now. This constant, all the good guys and bad guys, everybody out there, all the teams out there. I don't know. Maybe that time has come and gone, but it just doesn't work for me. You're absolutely right, Mark. Why do all those people have to get involved? Yeah. I like Red. I do like Red Velvet. I'll agree with you. Jade has a great look. She really does. I think she has a lot of potential. And I mentioned Austin Theory a few weeks back where he was smiling during his match. I like that Jade does that. That's a nice touch that she's bigger, she's stronger, she's in control. We haven't seen a flex pin in a long – she did one of those old Super Nintendo diesel pins where you were so dominant that you just sit on the person and put your arms up. That's what she did. That was great.
This match was better than I thought it was going to be. The one chop of more of a slap is what it was. That the first one that Shaq gave Cody looked absolutely perfect. Yeah, it was it just, I was like, that had to fucking sting no matter what. Honestly, I was impressed that Shaq took the tables. He's a big fucking dude to be doing that shit. And you could tell when Cody Needham that Shaq was kind of tensing up, preparing for what was going to happen, but he still took that fucking table like a champ.
Yeah. Did you see, I watched this one a little bit close. I think Remsburg was the one actually calling this match for the women then. Because once Cody and Shaq were taken out, there was another, 5-6 minutes left of the match that they just laid around. I think Remsburg was actually being the one calling the match. He spoke a lot if you watch it again. He spoke a lot to the women. So they're both young. So I think having somebody like Bryce in there really helped them out. After the commercial break, we get Tony Schiavone in the back. Shaq was supposed to be loaded in the ambulance and he wasn't there. Where are we going with this?
He was
I don't know.
He was teleported. Fucking Matt Hardy.
Did you see him move his feet because they couldn't close the door?
Yeah. He did the 4-1-2 shuffle or something. I don't know. Next up, we have Pac and Phoenix against Skylar and D3. This match, the best part was when it ended. It was too much of a staged ass beating.
Yeah. I didn't care for it. And two things I'll say again. The freaking chaos. You don't know who's legal. Let me just say two things. We'll talk about Crockett again. Even when the Road Warriors bum rushed the ring and kicked the hell out of two scrub guys, there was rhyme and reason to it, even if it didn't look like it, if it looked like chaos. They still made tags to go for the finish. Even on the same night, you have Ciampa and Thatcher, in their match, all four guys were in the ring, but there was purpose to it. It was a brawl. Like, you could tell they had their spots. That there was reason to it. This was just all four guys in the ring, no rhyme or reason. And then there was a point where I think it was Ray Phoenix hit a power slam or something devastating on one of the guys, and they had something else planned. The guy just popped right back up and said, "Oh, here I am, Ray. Pick me up again." This is unacceptable. It's unacceptable at this level. I know maybe this guy's young, but if you're on TV, my guess is you've had 3 to 5 years, right? I don't know who the hell the guy is, to be honest with you. D3, 3D, but you've had some...
D3 was not in the ring much.
Okay, so maybe it was...
He was the one being kicked off the ring apron every 5 seconds. Then he gets in the ring and takes that pop-up, sit down, pop back up, finisher.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's unacceptable. I don't know if it was adrenaline that he's like, you know, maybe it felt to him like he'd been down longer and he needed to get back up, but there's a problem with a total lack of selling on AEW. There really is.
Chad agrees.
Just like I said, I think last week about it. They don't take the time to sell because they're afraid they're gonna lose airtime. They're gonna look weak and get moved in the card. And the problem with that is it makes everybody look like shit. Everybody. It doesn't matter.
The Inner Circle has another Q&A. Bischoff shows up again. Of course, the Bucks show up and kick everybody's ass. Then the Good Brothers come out. I'm going to start with John on this one. John, you actually like the Bucks on this one this time.
This is what I needed to see from them. Real passion. I love the digs saying, you know, you guys crap on what's going on here, but if it wasn't for AEW, where would you guys be? I forget what he said about MJF, but they said that Jericho would be jerking the curtain at the Performance Center. So that was awesome. That was a great dig at the competition. It got a reaction from the crowd. And I believe that I don't care if there are 10 guys in that ring and there are two brothers and those guys beat up, you know, the father of those two guys. Those two guys are just they're going to fight all 10 guys. It was believable, and it's the passion I needed to see from them.
These guys still suck. That's all there is to. The week before, your father's getting carried away after getting the shit beat out of him, and you're more worried about putting your fucking hair back in your man bun. And then this week, they're trying to act tough. Okay, let's do some creative camera work. Instead of shooting them on level, shoot up. Give them the Austin Theory shot. Make them look a bit bigger.
But that's their call.
It should be. If you're going to make somebody look badass, you don't want to shoot them like they're a fucking Smurf. You want to shoot them like they're fucking a Jolly Green Giant.
I agree.
And I just can't, with as much pull as they have in there, I can't take these guys seriously. It's just, there's nothing.
We get the explanation of the barbed wire death match then. And guys, we're going to do our predictions for Revolution in part 3 like we normally do. I still don't know what the hell is going to happen in this barbed wire death match. I've seen them from Japan, but this one still kind of doesn't make sense what's going to go on.
It's just shit placed at different things, and
we have a half an hour before it blows up.
The one thing it's going to be is it's going to be a bloody match.
I'm all right with that.
You know, maybe tomorrow. Kenny Omega will fall on one of the, exploding things, and it'll, fix them the hard way. I don't know.
What did we think? John, do you have anything to say about the deathmatch rules?
I'll be curious to see what happens. Yeah, the barbed wire ropes, I'm okay with that. Explosives have me seriously worried.
Yeah. FTR and Tully against the Jurassic Express. Dude, as old as Tully is, he looked great. He looked great in the ring.
Was I the only one that saw the slingshot coming?
I was happy.
But even though he did it to that fucking little midget.
It doesn't matter. It could have did it.
I would have liked to have.
Miggy.
No, not Miggy.
Max,
fucker.
for sure.
Maybe Max. I would have liked to have seen him do it to the fucking Dino.
Wow.
That would have been fucking great. Even with some help, that would have been great to see him slingshot.
Right.
Luchasaurus.
Who didn't look good, and I'll get to John. J.J. Dillon didn't know if he was in or out of the ring when he was in the ring.
Yeah. Seeing the shoe come into play was fun. It was a throwback. Tully Blanchard could still move. He had the old was it national championship, U.S. championship with him?
Not,
I think it was U.S. title.
He had
yeah.
the old, that's a silver one. And do you see the one that FTR had?
Our tag titles.
The tag titles that Tully and Arn had.
I like the fake on the suicide dive. He got me when Tully hit the ropes and then stopped and did a strut instead. This was fun. It made its point. We saw a spike pile driver. We got it all. We got Horsemen. We got Brainbusters. And then we get Horsemen and Brainbusters. Arn Anderson comes out.
Yep.
I'm not sure where that's going. And then we also see at ringside, right, there was a camera guy or something, or a security guy, and it turns out that it was Sean Spears.
So he's back.
He's back, yeah. And he was with Tully Blanchard before, so that's nice to see that come full circle. But I'll be curious to see where Arn Anderson fits in all this.
I've said this before, and I'll say it again, a little bit different of play. Thought it would have come sooner. Arn Anderson coming out there and kind of looking at those guys and giving them the Arn Anderson nod and then counting his fingers. I'm telling you, all this is going to be in on this shit. New 4 Horsemen. I'm telling you, they're going to be working with AEW.
Tony comes out, makes the huge announcement that the Big Show's there. And we get Big Show coming out. He's going to be announcer on Dark Evolution, which is another show that's going to be, I think, on YouTube. I love the shirt. No more BS. Did everybody get that? No more Big Show.
Right off the bat. Yeah, right off the bat.
He did not.
Clearly. I thought it was like black strap. Because he used to wear the black strap. Maybe he wasn't going to wear the black strap anymore. I don't know. Big Show. Gotcha. Okay.
He might have to take over his booking.
Yeah, my God.
Yes.
The big announcement is somebody special, a potential Hall of Famer, is going to be at Evolution. We'll make our predictions for who it might be during the predictions.
Okay.
And don't say CM Punk. All right. Nyla Rose against Rio. Yeah. Rio wins. I'm all right with this. I just so we don't get a rematch. So go ahead.
This might be the worst match I've ever seen, and I've seen Roman Reigns wrestle Brock Lesnar.
Right. This was a bad match, but I didn't.
Terrible.
I didn't want Nyla winning again. Chad's got nothing. He's worried more about Max.
I want to ask Chad a question though, because I read Bleacher Report's opinion of this match. And they said you're either a fan of this sort of thing or you're not. I have not watched New Japan or anything like that in a long, long time. But what I remember was the audience. It was like the 1940s. They wore suits and they clapped, gentlemanly claps. This whole pantomiming, dancing, artistry type bullshit. Is this what goes on there now? Because they're saying this is kind of a segment of wrestling in Japan, and you either like it or you don't. But Nyla Rose is in the corner like, just hit me already. I can't possibly sell whatever the hell you did 3 minutes ago while you go through some Kabuki warrior dance.
Now, this is not, it's funny. I'll throw my plug in for New Japan again later, but no, it is the costumes down to the ring, maybe getting fired up into the ring. One guy, before he does his moves, slaps the piss out of his own head. That's about it. There's none of this stupid shit goes on in New Japan.
They just fight.
Yeah, they just beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah. This was god-awful, John. I at least wanted it over. Sting comes out. This is Sting. Out comes Starks. Team Taz attacks Darby. Thank God tonight we possibly get the end of this, because this has been the same promo for 8 weeks now.
Yeah.
And that's
beat the
sad.
shoes off of. Yeah. He beat the shoes off of Starks.
He did.
Yeah.
It reminded me of Ricky Morton beating the shit out of Ric Flair and stripped him down to his boxers.
Do remember that?
Shoes are off. There goes
Ricky
the shirt. Steamboat did it. Morton did it too.
Yeah.
Just it was funny. I was kind of laughing at it. I was like, poor Ricky Starks. But hey, he's young in the business. That kid has a bright future. He knows what he's doing.
10 with -1. Apparently they're not listening about this. Takes on Platinum Max. Great reference about Ronnie Garvin. I marked out about that a little bit. I'm glad -1 got boots. They did get him white boots. Max gets the win, and then Hardy pays him Why $4,200? At first, Tony said $42,000. I'm like, holy shit, that match was not worth $42,000. And I don't know if it was worth $4,200.
It fucking wasn't worth 42 cents.
Yeah, Max is in the ladder match now.
Are you in the ladder match?
Not my Max. He wouldn't be here right now. All right, John, thoughts, cares, concerns?
I'm so over the Dark Order. I really am. They just lack direction.
Yeah, it's kind of
sad to say.
With Brody Lee passing and everything. It just took any kind of momentum or steam that they would have, and there's a lot of talent there. They can do some things with the talent, but they need to get rid of the act.
Yeah, they're too comic right now. They really are. Miro talking about the pay-per-view match. I don't have anything to say about that. I don't care.
Yeah.
And then Hardy and Quinn against Hangman and who the hell?
John Silver.
John Silver. I put Hangman and Page, so he was the same guy apparently.
Split up. Yeah.
Was
If you hold L and R together on the Super Nintendo and hit B, you can double character. You can have like Shawn Michaels and Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon and Razor Ramon. So that's what he did. He held L and R together, then picked Hangman, then picked Adam Page.
Oh, okay. This match is exactly what it's just. I was disappointed that this was the main event for their go home show which is an amazing card when we get there. It is. Why the hell this? Because that should be one of the first matches we see tonight on Revolution. Because I don't care. We've said it last week that they're pissing on Hangman right now. I don't give a shit if he's got to give Hardy $5 or Hardy's got to give him $500,000.
Exactly what I had. This is not how you end a go-home show to a pay-per-view. The selling point of this whole thing is there's going to be bombs and barbed wire and shit thrown against the wall and anything else you can possibly imagine with, your two marquee guys. That's the pay-per-view. It's not, and I love Hangman Adam Page. It's not the guys that are in this match. And it's not even the guys that came out at the end to brawl. All those people that came out to brawl, they're not the selling point. They're the undercard. I don't know how you go home with the undercard. That was foolish.
Vinny turned to me when he noticed the time and he's like, "Can I watch the last match, Dad?" I was, sure. And when this ended, he turned around. He was like, "I should have gone to sleep earlier."
They went off the air with every tag team in professional wrestling being in the ring, setting up a big to-do for their Battle Royal. John, you love Battle Royals, but...
I do. When has a Battle Royal ever been a main event, though? Never.
The Royal
Never.
Rumble.
Well, that's different.
All right, let's go to SmackDown. Who watched it? You two do not have your hands up.
I watched some of it. It's building. It honestly came down to the main event. Daniel Bryan against Uso in a cage. If Bryan won, he gets Roman at Fastlane.
He wins. I do like the new Apollo. He comes out with men in camo now, and the spear looks like something. It was a throwing spear he came out with, John. I don't know if you've seen the pictures. It looks like something you made in 8th grade metal shop, though. It looks like it's
that good.
It's that.
Somebody tweeted out a picture of him standing there in between the two guys in uniform and said, "Well, we see who went to see Coming to America 2 last night."
Exactly what it was. exactly what it was. Murphy's back. Yeah, other than that, Dom against Chad. Yeah, Reggie got fired from Carmella. In the Street Profits against Sammy and Baron, it actually ends up being one-on-one matches, and nobody cared. SmackDown's supposed to be the big show. It's on Fox. It's on a bigger show. It is watered down. Know what's coming up, though? Our big shows. We have Raw. Yeah. We have SmackDown. We have Saturday Morning Challenge. But we have to talk about one thing first, and it's the old man. The old man's wrestling attire business collar and elbow. John's got his hoodie on. Chad's got Animal on. All mine are in the wash, because that's all I've worn this week. So I'm not even going to lie. I have my...
You actually wash your clothes?
Actually, I do wash my clothes. They're in the wash right now. I started the load before you came. So the dryer should probably be buzzing right now. If my son would ever wake up, he would finish laundry today. But who knows about that? We're talking about collar and elbow, where you can get hats, hoodies, tees, sweats, a vest, a jacket now, all that stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's 21 degrees here in Pittsburgh, but I am cozy, comfy, warm in my collar and elbow hoodie.
I think they should do an Al Snow head doll. Like Al Snow's head.
His head or head?
His head.
Nobody wants that. They want maybe head, but not Al's head.
But can you imagine how ugly that would be? You could put that, like, out in your field to scare away crows and shit like that. Just put Al's head on a pole. There's a new match. Al Snow's head on a pole match.
And you get 10% when you use a promo code. And the promo code is what, John?
Can Crushers, all one word. Capital C in can, capital C in Crushers. If you use that promo code, you will save how much, Mark?
Chad?
10%.
Right. See that? I already said it, but that's okay. Yeah. So, all right, when we come back, we'll be back with the WWF fantasy booking, and we got some more reviews, concerns, bitches, moans from some of the Can Crusher Nation. One, I don't know what the hell you're trying to say, buddy, but I'll read it on air when we come back.
Wrestling. A love and a passion we all share. I've started a wrestling brand. The wrestling brand. A brand founded on the aspects of wrestling. Two entities working together to create a product that connect emotionally for people everywhere. Collar and Elbow is the brand. Passion and love for wrestling is the drive. I am Al Snow, and this is Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand.
Hey, this is OVW announcer Stephanie, and you are listening to the wrestling podcast, Can Crushers.
Welcome back, Can Crusher Nation. It is I, the English professor, joined by Chad the Glorious Guru and your host, Mark the Mark Martinez. In this segment, we will go over our fantasy booking of the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. And Mark, we kick things off with Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, we're in week 6 of this, guys, and it's getting pretty hot and heavy, and we see Shayna and Jax. What are they doing, John?
Yeah, they're in the ring to kick off the show. Nia Jax is just kind of there as backup. Shayna Baszler is furious because if you remember, Sasha cost her spot in the television title tournament when she came out and attacked Britt, causing an instant disqualification. Shayna says that it is the destiny of the horsewomen to own all of the belts. There's no one in this division who's better than me, even though she should have said better than I. She said no one can touch me and my partner, Nia. No one can come close to taking these belts away from us. And she says that she was plowing through that tournament before Sasha stuck her nose in my business. I would have won the TV title, and then I would have completed the set by wiping the mat with you. Sasha comes out. She's like, look, I don't know if you're aware, New ownership has made this a 2-hour show instead of a 3-hour show. So please get out of the ring and quit wasting everybody's time. If you want a title match, all you have to do is ask. So then Lita comes out and says, if that's what you want, Sasha, if that's what you want, Shayna, let's make it happen. Later in the evening, Women's Championship on the line. One half of the World Tag Team Champions, Shayna Baszler, faces Sasha Banks for the WWF Championship.
And we cut backstage to Kayla Braxton, who's with Roman and the Usos. We're getting a lot of talking. Usually I don't book it this way, but this must be important.
Yeah, Reigns and Usos are, generally they're typical pissed off, being kind of snarky to Kayla and everything. And Reigns says, we're here for one thing only. I want either Bobby Lashley or Nick Aldis. I never got my title return, or I never got my rematch with Lashley, and Aldis has been a pain in my ass. So I want one of them. And in walks, the hell's his name? Tommy Dreamer and Nigel McGuinness, and they're like, we'll work it out between us and let you know.
Oh, wow. So not set yet. We finally get a bell, and we're going to have a match between Deonna Purrazzo and Marty Bell.
So don't forget, these two teams are facing each other at WrestleMania, the Sure Thing versus Melina and Thunder Rosa. So this is just kind of a tease for that. Marty Bell's from the Bronx. She tries to brawl. Deonna Purrazzo's just too good of a wrestler. She does Casey Catanzaro's half of the finisher, the boardwalk, when she jumps off the top rope and does a double stomp. Goes for the pin. Thunder Rosa's been outside the ring this entire time, by the way. Pulls Deonna Purrazzo out and causes an instant DQ. Casey Catanzaro runs over to help. Brawl ensues. Melina runs out and joins in. So those four women are fighting on the outside. Marty Bell does a suicide dive over the top rope and lays out the Sure Thing. And a 3-on-2 beating ensues. And the Sure Thing is left face down outside the ring.
We head to commercial, then we come back. We have Mercedes Martinez taking on Tegan Nox.
Keep in mind, Mercedes Martinez picked Tegan Nox as her tag team partner last week to take on Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. Mercedes then left Tegan Nox high and dry. Tegan Nox says, nobody does that to me. I want Mercedes in the ring. Bad decision, Tegan Nox. Mercedes Martinez is just ruthless. This is essentially a warm-up match for her street fight coming up at WrestleMania. Mercedes Martinez gets the easy win.
We get a little bit of a promo teasing how many days left until our WrestleMania. And then we go to Storm and Page. What did they have to say, Chad? Which are the tag team champions.
James Storm and Adam Page come down to the ring, and they're like, you know what? We're in the mood to fight somebody this week. I'm going to put the titles up. Anybody in the back have balls enough to come out? And out comes Jonathan Gresham and Jay Lethal from Ring of Honor. They shake hands before the match. These guys go back and forth. This is, two teams that are perfectly matched. There's counters, very little outside ring action. Everybody's adhering to normal tag team rules. The end comes, Jay Lethal gets thrown out. Gresham gets caught with a super kick from Storm, and Page hits the buckshot lariat for the 1-2-3.
Non-title or title?
Title match.
So they retain. Okay. I didn't get that. We go and we see Nat's not in the dungeon this week. But how does she get where she's at?
So she's Natalya Neidhart. She can kind of go wherever she wants, right? So we're at the Performance Center, and Beth Phoenix is working with some young women. Sharp-eyed viewers will notice Danny Gray is in the ring working out with Vicious Vicky. Danny steps out. Hollywood Haley J steps in, and we hear Beth Phoenix say, Danny, listen to me, honey, okay? Because you're not listening to me. Here's what I need from you. But before she can finish that thought, here comes Nat. Says, hey, Beth. Beth turns around. Is like, Nat, what are you doing here? They hug. She's like, I just came to see what you're doing. I love the things you're doing. You're spreading positivity. You know, when we came into this business, how tough was it? Beth's like, oh, God, don't remind me. They were so brutal. They were so tough on us. And that just, it doesn't have to be that way, right? It can be a kinder, gentler world. And Beth says, I absolutely agree. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Nat says, I love what you're doing. Do you mind if I just get in the ring very quickly and show these girls a couple of things? Beth is like, oh, my God, I'd be honored if you get in the ring and show my girls some stuff. So Nat gets in there. She's working out with Vicious Vicky, makes light of her name, says, you know, you don't have to be Vicious Vicky. It's a kinder, gentler world. I can never get that out every week. So while they're working, she's kind of like, you know, setting up behind her. Vicious Vicky sits out, reverses, kind of frustrates Nat a little bit, does something else. Vicious Vicky reverses out of that. Eventually, Nat gets her in a full Nelson that Vicious Vicky can't get out of, and she's tapping, but Nat won't let her out. And then Nat starts beating her face off the mat while she's got her in the full Nelson. And it takes Beth Phoenix jumping in there and saying, Nat, what the hell are you doing? What's wrong with you? Get off of her. And she pulls her off. And Nat kind of has a Bob Backlund moment where she's looking at her hands and maybe doesn't realize what she's done. She's got some anger management issues for sure.
So apparently we need to hire a therapist pretty soon.
For Nat, yeah.
Yeah. Daniel Bryan and Kane could help with that.
That's a good idea. I should call them this week. We now have the finals of the men's TV championship. Eli Drake against Moose. Here we go.
Finally get to the last match. We're going to have our champion. Eli Drake gets caught on the referee's mic saying, holy shit, this guy's huge. Moose just absolutely is destroying Drake. The only thing Drake can do is stay close to the ropes, roll outside the ring. He finally is able to take a bit of a cheap shot on Moose, kicks him in the knee, works Moose's knee over a bit, but Moose eventually gets some momentum back, and Moose ends up in a semi-quick match, ends up winning the title with a running power bomb.
Wow.
He kind of is laying on the mat there, not believing what's going on, and when he stands up, he goes over to Drake and helps him up. They shake hands, and Drake raises Moose's hand and snaps the title on his waist.
Nice. Respect. I love that. What a hell of a men's TV championship. Moose came in, he defeated Kevin Owens, Ricky Starks, Karrion Kross, and now Eli Drake. So what a hell of a path to win this first ever TV championship for us.
Yeah, well earned.
And something to note, this is Empire's first loss since coming to the Federation. Does this create problems, or does it inspire them more?
From one title match to another, Shayna Baszler taking on Sasha Banks for the WWF Women's title.
This is a knockdown, drag-out affair. Shayna Baszler using the mat game, joint manipulation. Sasha using some high-flying moves, including the double knees in the corner, which I like to call the Meteora. Sasha hits the ropes from the outside. Nia Jax trips her. So Sasha goes face down. She gets right back up. She's pissed off. She does a suicide dive over the top rope onto Nia Jax, who catches her in midair and body slams her through the table. Sasha's down. Shayna distracts the referee. Nia picks up Sasha, throws her back into the ring. Shayna locks into coquina, or whatever the hell she's calling it these days, a rear naked choke, coquina clutch, sleeper hold, we kind of called it back in the day. Are we going to see a new champ? Sasha's fading. She does a kip up, kind of like what Bret Hart did to Roddy Piper. Pins Shayna that way. Retains, but just barely. She has nothing left. Shayna's pissed off, continues to beat her down. In comes Nia Jax, drops a couple of leg drops, couple of elbow drops. They just absolutely squash the champion. In runs Tessa. She tries to fight off the tag team champions on her own, has some success. Out comes Charlotte Flair and Lacey Evans. It's now a 4-on-2 situation. Kairi Sane comes running out. This is the thing I alluded to earlier with
the whole
Crockett.
Freaking locker room's coming out.
Yeah. So Kairi Sane comes out, but the numbers are just too much. The horsewomen beat the crap out of these three women. And then, who hits the ring but Asuka?
Oh.
She comes running out. It's still now 4 against 1. She spits red mist into the face of Charlotte Flair. She spits green mist into the face of Lacey Evans. And then she spits red mist again into the face of Shayna Baszler. So those three are out. The other women get up, and it becomes a 4-on-1 beatdown of Nia Jax. The horsewomen hightail it out of there. Sasha is helped up by Asuka. The two of them are face-to-face. But let's not lose sight of what's going on behind them, and that is Tessa Blanchard is holding her shoulder and her arm.
Oh, no. We get as we come back to bring it back, we get a promo from Nikita Koloff explaining that in the fall, Man Camp's coming up. And this is a generic plug from me saying, hey, men's wrestling organized, go to mancamp.org and check it out for Nikita Koloff. And then we're going to a Lita conference.
Did you get my Great Muta reference? The different colored mists? I don't know how the hell that guy did that, but that was amazing. He would spit different colors right in a row.
Right.
Anyway, we go to a conference call with Lita. She's on a Zoom call. Just as the cameras are getting back there, and she says, Chad, Mark, English professor, I appreciate your input. I'll get back to you soon. Charlie Caruso comes in to the office, and she says, Lita, in light of what we just saw, can you please explain what this does to the main event at WrestleMania? Lita explains that she's been on the phone with the owners of the company, as well as Asuka's physician and the WWF medical staff. Asuka is cleared to compete. The doctors were going to reach out with this info, but Asuka had just shown up. Charlie asks what that means about the WrestleMania main event. Before Lita can answer, Rhea Ripley, Io Shirai, and Bianca Belair storm into the office and scream at Lita. Lita kicks them all out, tells Charlie that Asuka won the Rumble, but that those three competitors that were just there were also promised a title shot. She promises that by SmackDown, she will have a solution that's fair to everyone. But now, Charlie, I'm sorry. You have to leave. I have work to do. Charlie's leaving. Lita picks up the phone, and we hear the tail end of her saying, Mark? Yeah, it's Lita again. I think I have a solution.
Lita's busy. She needs a raise. She has been doing a lot of stuff because she's running just the women's division where the men have McGuinness and Dreamer kind of splitting up, so I have to look into Lita's payroll. Chad, we'll have to talk about that a little bit, but what's going on in the main event?
So, unfortunately, the Young Bucks are coming down to the ring. If you remember last week, Jim Cornette and I issued a challenge to them. Well, they bring Twinkle Toes McFingerbang with them. And I knew that this wasn't going to be good, but I'm staying backstage. Cornette goes out, and he's like, I told you two little bastards that I had a team. It was a team that I would only come out of retirement to manage and to manage against you. And the one young buck gets on and says, we already beat FTR. We already know about them. Cornette starts laughing. He's like, you really are as stupid as you look. And says, it's not FTR. He said, maybe you'll recognize these guys. Then the screen goes back to the theater and matches two guys sitting watching matches again. And they turn to each other, still can't see who they are, and they're like, I guess it's time. And they get up and walk out. Music hits. Out walks Mark and Jay Briscoe from Ring of Honor. The Young Bucks are just stunned. Omega's fucking standing there grabbing hold of the ref. What the hell is this? Briscoes get down to the side of the ring. Cornette says, oh. And he says, wait a second. Before this ass kicking gets started, I got something for you, Omega. He's like, I got a challenge for you. He said, I want that title off of you by WrestleMania. And he said, I went to your owner, my good buddy Tony Khan, and he said, I understand you have an open contract for a title defense at any time. Omega's like, yeah, and he's like, there ain't anybody that scares me. Cornette's like, there's one person that is so sick and tired of you claiming you're the greatest wrestler that there is. And he is taking this title match. This title match will be, if not on SmackDown this week, on Raw next week. Omega's like, who is it? Who is it? Cornette's like, why don't you turn around? Omega does his overacting, slowly turns around, and eats a phenomenal forearm from AJ Styles. Styles just starts beating the shit out of Omega, and the Briscoes jump in the ring. This match was fucking brutal. There was chairs. The referees just let them go at it. Lots of cheap shots, not a lot of aerial stuff. The ending came where Jay Briscoe had top part of the ringside steps in the ring. He put the Young Bucks open their mouths. I don't know how to put it other than that, and put them on the edge of the step. And the Briscoes curb stomped the Young Bucks' faces into the step.
So they should be dead.
Young Bucks are bleeding. Their mouths, they're bleeding all over the place. Briscoes they obliterate them with a karate kick and a nod to the Road Warriors Doomsday Device and pin the Young Bucks. The Briscoes are the new AEW World Tag Team Champions.
Wow. That's defending titles there. AEW, our competition. Hell of a Raw. Even with starting off talking twice, you guys brought it home. Nice.
Thanks.
Switch over to SmackDown on Friday night, and we're starting with in-ring action as Nat is taking on Lana.
Handshake before the match. Nat kind of does, the hand rubbing thing like the old time wrestlers do, like you would see Brett maybe do before locking up. Good mat wrestling. Once again, we get the anger management issues. Nat ends up getting Lana in a full Nelson, takes her down to the mat, and just keeps beating her face off the mat until the referee just calls for the bell and stops it.
Yeah, I figured that's where that was going. Empire.
So all of Empire comes out to the ring. We've got Wardlow, Eli Drake, Storm, Paige, Aldis, Camille, and Aldis is like, it's getting close to WrestleMania. We need to throw our intent out there a little bit more. We need to get this signed. And Aldis says, I want to unify the world title, the NWA, the real world's title, and the WWF title with Bobby Lashley. And Bobby Lashley's music hits, and he comes down to the ring, kind of looking at everybody like he's going to get attacked or whatever. Aldis is like, you don't got anything to worry. He's like, guys, going back. He's like, I got this. And he challenges Lashley to a title unification match at WrestleMania. As Lashley is accepting, Roman Reigns' music hits. And he comes down, he's like, I told you guys on Monday, I wanted my rematch, or I wanted you in the ring, or I wanted my rematch with you. He said, Lashley's like, turns to Aldis, and he's like, worry about it, I got this one. He said, I beat this Joker before, I'll beat him again later tonight.
Wow. Flair and Evans taking on Kairi and Asuka back in the ring legitimately.
Yeah, now she's back in the ring legitimately, picking up her feud with the Horsewomen, as is Kairi Sane. I mean, this is essentially a continuation from Raw. You ladies want to brawl? Well, get in the ring and make it official. Lacey Evans starts with Kairi Sane. Nice exchange of moves. Eventually they tag their partners, and we have Flair and Asuka in there. They're face-to-face. A lot of tension boiling. Remember, these are former champs until Flair left Asuka high and dry, and then boom, they just start throwing fists. Asuka's landing kicks to the leg, spinning back fists, elbow. She's really working over Charlotte. Charlotte makes a tag to Lacey Evans, who is also likewise dominated by Asuka, who's just full of piss and vinegar. She's been on the shelf for a while. She makes a tag to Kairi Sane. The villains are getting the heat over on Kairi Sane until Sane ducks a clothesline and hits Evans with a spinning kick. They each make their tags. So once again, you get Flair and Asuka jumping in. More back fists, more vicious elbows. She grabs Charlotte's arm and takes her down into the Asuka lock. Kairi Sane keeps Lacey Evans out of the ring. Charlotte lives to fight another day. Rather than get her shoulder torn out, she decides to tap out.
Open tag challenge? This is random on my card all of a sudden.
Yeah, this was something that the new guys wanted. The Briscoes wanted. It was question mark who they were because we didn't know what the hell was going to happen. So Briscoes come out and they're like, we're going to start it off right. Start our reign off right. Anybody in the back want a title shot? Of course, the first team out has to be the Usos. They think that they're, owed because of the multiple title reigns and everything before. Briscoes are like, fine, we're always taught to respect our elders, but we'll still give you a match. This was just a good physical match. The Usos, did their splashes outside. Briscoes were more into brawling. Ended up that the Briscoes put Jimmy through the Spanish announce table. Big surprise there. And in the ring, they caught Jay. And with their ode to the Road Warriors, again, Doomsday Device, the Briscoes defeat the Usos in defense of the AEW Tag Team title.
Briscoe's hot. We get Magnum TA addressing an issue.
Yeah. Magnum TA takes some airtime, and he wants to address Ric Flair and the things that Ric said about Tessa and essentially Magnum and the whole family. And he says, there are two things the world needs to know about you, Ric Flair. And number one is you're a scared, insecure little boy. And all those things that you tried to project on me and Tessa and the rest of my family are issues you've been dealing with your entire life. And the other thing the world needs to know about you is you've never once fought your own battles. You'd be nowhere without Tully Blanchard. And now you have the audacity to run your mouth about him. And to run your mouth about me. And I could see the apple doesn't fall far from the tree because Charlotte is no different. She couldn't beat Tessa one-on-one, and she knows it, which is why she surrounds herself with those other women. But I'm going to tell you this, Rick. You better keep your mouth shut about me, or I just might get up out of this chair and shut it for you.
Wow. Magnum coming back to wrestling.
It's good to see Magnum fired up again.
It is. It is. Tag team match. Dakota and Raquel taking on the Riot Squad. Is this the Billy Kay Riot Squad or is this the good Riot Squad?
This is Ruby Riot.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. You could tell I'm building up Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. That's the whole purpose of this match. It's a fine match with Dakota and Raquel winning, nothing fancy, nothing special.
Then we get a men's TV title defense next.
Moose comes down and he's like, hey, I'm going to play this game of challenging anybody in the back. Come on out for a title shot. Out comes Cesaro. And my first thought was, holy shit, these are two strong guys. Something could happen here. Cesaro gets in the ring. He, asked for the mic, and he was like, he said, I don't really know you. He said, I've seen some of your matches, seen your work. He said, you're impressive, but he's like, I'm the strong man. And he's like, let's have a good match. And after I win, maybe I'll give you a rematch. So he's kind of trying to, I don't want to say intimidate the rookie, so to speak, but he's kind of playing that game. This was nothing, but I can do what you can do, but I do it better. Just trading the power moves and everything back and forth. The ending comes, Cesaro misses with his uppercut. Moose ducks around, grabs him in a full Nelson, and puts it into a snapdragon suplex. He gets a pin on Cesaro. Cesaro kind of gets up and he's sitting back in the corner, and he's just like the dumbfounded look on his face, and he walks over to Moose, shakes his hand, said, impressive, rookie, pats him on the head, and gets out of the ring.
Nice match. After a break, we come back. We have Lita again.
She's working hard these days, guys. So Lita needs to address the Asuka issue. She says, after extended conversations with Mark, Chad, and the English professor, she has reached a decision for Asuka and her involvement at WrestleMania. Now, Asuka did win the Royal Rumble and is entitled to a championship match at WrestleMania. However, Rhea Ripley, Io Shirai, and Bianca Belair have also been promised a title match at WrestleMania, and Lita will keep her word to those three women. But in light of what we saw on Monday night and tonight, she is making this decision. Based on the success that Asuka and Kairi Sane had against Charlotte Flair and Lacey Evans, two members of the Four Horsewomen, earlier in the evening, and based on the fact that Asuka won the Royal Rumble and is entitled to a title match at WrestleMania, it will be Asuka and Kairi Sane challenging the WWF Women's Tag Team Champions Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler at WrestleMania.
Oh, so that's her title match she's going to get out of Royal Rumble. Yep. Nice. Yep. Nice little twist, Lita. After Lita announcements, we have Roman Reigns against Lashley.
So Roman Reigns gets his long-awaited match, according to him. Lashley comes down to the ring first, gets a mic, and he says, normally the champion should be the second one coming down, but I wanted to come down, get this over with, kick Roman Reigns' ass again, and move on to WrestleMania. Reigns comes out, and the Usos are there with him, of course. They come down to the ring, and it's at this point that I'm tired of this bullshit because I know what's going to go on. I walk out with the mic, and I was like, no, this ain't going to happen. We're not going to have interference in these matches and that. And I tell the Usos, go back to the dressing room. You're barred from ringside. They want to argue. I'll say either you go back or he forfeits a title match. They finally leave. So we got a one-on-one match. Reigns, typical heel. He's trying to stall. Lashley's he's trying to obliterate him. He's not working on an arm. He's not working on a leg. He's just trying to put a hurt locker on Reigns. Good back and forth big man match. A little bit of power moves. Reigns goes for a spear. Lashley ducks. Reigns hits a ring post, kind of waddles backwards. Lashley spins him around, hits him with a power bomb, picks him back up. Reigns is like a rag doll at this point. Lashley slaps into full Nelson, and Reigns, the referee calls for the bell when Reigns is unresponsive. After the match, the Usos come down. They're beating the shit out of Lashley, chairs and everything. Nick Aldis comes down, jumps in the ring. He's helping out. Reigns has kind of recovered his sense about him a little bit, and it becomes a 3-on-2 beatdown. And then all of a sudden, AJ Styles comes down. They end up getting the upper hand on Reigns and the Usos and clearing the ring. Lashley and Aldis are standing there kind of jawing with him. Styles goes out, gets the WWF Championship and the NWA Championship, and he's looking at him. Well, Aldis and Lashley turn around and see AJ looking at him. And they're just a very awkward glance. And AJ hands the titles over to him. And again, for the second week in a row, does not let go of the titles right away. And that ends the match.
Finally, we get the finals for the Women's WWF TV Championship. It's Britt Baker taking on Tessa Blanchard. I've seen this match in life.
I was going to say, yeah, you and I saw this match, and it was everything. It was awesome. Mark had his Britt Baker shirt on. I had my Tessa Blanchard shirt on, even though I love them both. That was a fun time. But now the stakes are higher. Tessa out-wrestles Britt on the mat. She does the head scissor thing where she grinds her head into the mat. Eventually, Britt works on the shoulder that apparently Tessa injured in that brawl. She wraps Tessa's arm around the ropes and pulls on it, like puts her own foot against the ropes and like tugs on Tessa's arm, throws her out of the ring while she's getting herself together again. Reba comes up and pushes Tessa into the steps onto that injured shoulder, throws her back into the ring. Britt continues to work on the shoulder. Lacey Evans comes out and joins the commentary team. They ask her what she's doing there. Lacey says that Shayna was right. Shayna Baszler was right. The goal of the Horsewomen is to win championships. Tessa knocked me out of this tournament. I also have a win over her back in the early days of the WWF. But her beating me and knocking me out of this tournament doesn't sit well with me. I think I'm a top contender for this title, and I'm just here to see who wins and issue a challenge to the winner. Meanwhile, Tessa's gotten the advantage again. She steps out of the ring to get face-to-face with Lacey. Lacey's like, look, I'm just here to do commentary. Tessa mushes her in the face before going back into the ring. Lacey loses it, takes her headset off, jumps onto the apron. The referee's trying to keep her back. Charlotte Flair runs to the ring, hands Britt Baker a roll of quarters, who then belts Tessa in the mouth of it, gives her the molar eclipse. Charlotte, meanwhile, has hightailed it out of there. Lacey Evans has jumped off the apron back to the commentary table. When the referee turns around, he sees a pin. 1, 2, 3. Britt is your first ever WWF Women's Television Champion.
Love it. Love it. Let's fast forward to Saturday, and we have Raylan and Allison Kay in the ring ready to go as the hour show starts.
Yep. I want to give Allison Kay a push. She's kind of been lost in the shuffle here, so I give her a worthy opponent in Raylan. Raylan tries to use some high-flying tactics, some mat wrestling like we've seen her use. Allison Kay, too big, too strong. It is the pump handle power bomb that does her in. Kind of like a Raquel Gonzalez style, but not quite the elevation and splat, more compact and stacking. So Allison Kay with the win over Raylan.
LAX takes on the Good Brothers. First time seeing both of them in the ring.
Yeah, LAX made their debut with Selena a couple of weeks ago, and they've had some other, how can you contractual obligations to take care of. So we have, of LAX, we have Hernandez and Homicide against the Good Brothers. This is not for the Impact title. This is just a match. This turns into a better match than it would you would think just looking at him. Hernandez, after being out of the ring for mostly the last couple of years, is just an awesome big guy. He's tossing Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows around just like they're, Austin Theories. Good Brothers eventually, with a little bit of underhandedness, get the upper hand. The match unfortunately ends up in a double count out when all four of them are brawling outside the ring, and they don't even give a shit about the referee's count. They're just beating the hell out of each other, and they do it all the way back into the dressing room.
Perfect show to have that happen on is Saturday, because this could lead to bigger things with both of those teams. I like that already. A triple threat match.
Daniel Bryan against MJF against Shane Taylor. There is talk these guys are all contenders, legitimate contenders for TV title, for world title. So this match could really help them out, in their push for a match. Just MJF playing the fucking heel. He sits back while Shane Taylor and Daniel Bryan have the match, and then they kind of realize he's just being a dick and sitting there. So they just grab a hold of him and start beating the living shit out of him. Daniel Bryan with like 20 yes kicks in a row. Shane Taylor with a sit-down clothesline on MJF. MJF takes a hell of a beating here. They eventually throw him out of the ring and start going back at it again. Shane Taylor hits a splash in the corner on Bryan. Bryan kind of waddles out of the corner. Taylor grabs him, hits a spinning power bomb, but before Taylor can get the pin, MJF pushes him out the side of the ring and covers Daniel Bryan and gets the 1-2-3.
Wow, MJF with a sneaky win. So he's in line for some title shot, right?
Some title shot.
Nice. Does he get to pick it, or is that on us?
That is going to be on the management.
Okay. Management.
And speaking of management, notified come across the screen that at the end of the women's TV title match, there will be an announcement regarding the AEW world title situation from this past week's Raw.
Oh, a little ticker. And we get that match is Britt.
Britt will defend her world television title against a mystery opponent. She says that she has signed the contract to face this person of unparalleled skill, person with a spotless record, the only woman in the locker room worthy of challenging her. And then she turns to her friend standing next to her in the ring, and she says, "It's Reba." So Reba's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this. Oh, I'm so nervous. I'm the first woman to have 2 title matches in the WWF." Because keep in mind, last week she faced Sasha for the Women's World Championship. She says, "I just don't know if I'm ready for this. And I'm the first woman to ever challenge for this title now, too." And Britt's like, "Just relax. Calm down. Take a deep breath." So they're working it out in the corner. She's just, remember what we talked about. You're going to be fine. Do what you know how to do. Give the people a great show. Reba's like, "Okay, I got this. Are you ready?" So they call for the bell. They lock up. Britt pulls her into a headlock. Reba screams bloody murder and immediately taps out.
What the hell? We get the announcement.
On next week's Raw, in the main event, It has been booked. It will be Kenny Omega versus AJ Styles for the AEW World Title. The Young Bucks are banned from ringside for the match. Tony Khan will be in attendance and sitting at the announcer's table.
We'll see about where Tony Khan's sitting. If I have anything to pull, he might be somewhere else. Guys, a great week again. I get suckered into everything you guys are having. Once you send me stuff and I have to start writing it on paper, I'm like, where are we going? What's going on?
Do you see, like, you do maybe see where some of it's going? Like, I
have to see, yeah.
Yeah, you have to. Like, oh my God, Asuka hit the ring, and then all of a sudden she's in a mess. So now you know she's back, and, you know.
Right, but then there's times
some stuff out, but
there's times I forget that she hasn't been around.
Right.
Because we can't get everybody on every show, so we're not trying to get everybody on every show. Because that's just the way it is. We don't have to have 900 people hanging in the ring just to say, eat a Snickers. Which they're not a sponsor yet, but that's all right. They'll get there.
Yeah.
All right. Great WWF segment again this week. I forgot that I had these, and now I will read them. I'm a couple weeks behind due to family problems in my life right now, but I want to chime in about the fantasy part of the show. It is amazing, and I love the weekly surprises from you guys. I would love to have it on its own show. You got us fans involved in the WWF again. That's from Gary in New York. So Gary says he wants his own show. I'm reading them as I get them. That's cool. We really need to talk about this between the three of us. Hey guys, love Can Crushers. I've been around since Garbage Tips and English Tips and beyond. So apparently we're going to have more tips in the future of stuff.
I've always been a fan of that.
Right. I just want to say I love the fantasy part of the show. It needs to be trimmed down a little and really spend your time on what got you here. Real TV shows. I wouldn't mind if it went a different show. I would listen. I love you all. Matt from Kentucky.
Oh, that's nice. That's good feedback. Thanks, Matt.
Can Crushers! I really love the fantasy part of the show. So you know where this is coming from. I wouldn't mind if you make it another show. It would give me something to listen to at work. You guys should really think about starting a real organization. Rick from Delaware.
That's all. Yeah, if we can get Lacey and Charlotte and Asuka signed, yeah, let's start our own thing. That would be awesome.
That'd be great. That would be great. Hey guys, Kyle, Kansas, I heard you talking last week about challenging the fantasy part of this podcast, period. Please don't make it another show, period. I like it and don't want to listen to another show. Add another podcast to listen to. If you guys trim it down, sometimes it's like a Seth Rollins promo, period. Love the show. That's from Kyle, Kansas. I don't know if he means Kyle from Kansas or Kyle in Kansas is his last name and he lives in Arkansas or what? But
it isn't fucking Pat writing in again, is it?
No, God. I have no clue, but that's Kyle, Kansas. That's his email. So he likes it, but he doesn't want its own show. But he would listen to another show if we had it, as long as it's not as long as a Seth Rollins promo. Kyle, in a couple weeks when you listen to this, let us know what the fuck you meant. Because I'm a little bit on a limb here. These two don't have to chime on this one. I'll be the asshole. So, what do you guys think? Like, we'll give us like 2 minutes. What do you guys think? Do you guys think taking the WWF and putting it on its own show to, give it an hour for itself is good?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
I like that idea, and I'll propose this. John can hear this. We've had feedback where people like our reviews of prior pay-per-views. We all agree that's a lot of fun. So to kind of give a spin on that, so we're not, how can I put it, hitting just one pay-per-view and, okay, 5 matches of that pay-per-view suck, and we've kind of wasted our week on that, so to speak. I'm throwing out the idea that we do a fantasy booking best of whatever show, WrestleMania, Survivor Series, best of matches. But the matches have to be from different years.
I like that too. We talked about that a little bit off air before we called John today. But I think that would be part of this fantasy show then. That we're, this way we can do our fantasy booking, but then do a fantasy WrestleMania. If that's what, that's actually linked to this. And we can go back to giving more real wrestling on Can Crushers podcast, because it'll be called Can Crushers Fantasy WWF or whatever we throw together. And it'll have its own entity then that we can say, hey guys, don't forget, on Tuesday we're going to release the WWF, because we're not going to release, this is where I come in then, we're not going to release our weekly podcast on Sundays, and then Spotlight on Wednesdays, and then one of, the fantasy cannot be linked to that day. If you guys want its own separate podcast, then we can, essentially, us three can sit down and record this anytime, and then I could publicize it on day X, of which I don't know.
Right,
we can
course.
talk about that.
Right.
But it won't be the same day. So it does give them another platform to listen to us three jabronis talk about wrestling.
Because next week when we cover the AEW pay-per-view, we're going to be at 4 hours. It's going to be WrestleMania 4 championship tournament length. Yeah.
So do we do the pause right now with the fantasy? I spend this week then setting everything up. So after the dog show, we come back in 2 weeks with the fantasy after we publicize, hey, this is where we're going to get the fantasy show. This is where you guys are going to grab it from. We'll make sure it's up there. It's up, ready to go on the website that I determine, and then boom, we're good to go.
Let's have Miggy and Max do tricks 1 week.
Deal.
And then pick it back up.
Sounds good.
All right, there you go, guys. Watch this week as I will get the link going and everything. I'll tell you right now, it will be on Anchor, and Anchor will then send it off to Apple and Spotify and everything. But if you want to know where you're going to find the legit link, it's going to be on Anchor. You guys will listen to it from there on Apple or Spotify or Boxcast or anything like that. But we'll also put the link in our Facebook and on Twitter and everything. The picture is going to be the microphone, and we'll talk about it. Well, I'll show you guys, but everything will be up on our Facebook page so you guys can find it. And on our website, you'll be able to get there as well for the fantasy booking. So we'll figure out the details, but we'll be having 3 broadcasts now, essentially.
It's all right.
Yeah.
We're super over.
We really are super over. So fantasy is moving to its own, and we'll get there. All right, we're running long, so let's take a break. We'll be back with news of the week here shortly.
Have you ever wondered what happened to Lance Von Erich? Find out in his new book, Lance by Chance, Wrestling as a Von Erich. You'll also read stories about Chris Adams, Ric Flair, June Hernandez, and Billy Jack Haynes, and of course, the Von Erich family themselves. Get your copy today at lancebychance.com.
And welcome back, Can Crusher Nation. It is I, the Glorious Guru, in studio with Mark the Mark, and he's actually done shuffling papers and eating and stuff.
No, he's not.
John the Professor. Well, at least he's not making noise again.
Right.
You know,
I am done making noise.
We've had hundreds of our fans write in. Who is that douche in the background making all the noise?
Just one.
Wow.
All right, John, it's your segment that you brought to us, and let's tell them what it is.
This is Love 'Em While We Have 'Em. It's an opportunity to appreciate someone in the wrestling business while they are still here with us. And hopefully, on the off chance they're listening, they know how much we appreciate their contributions to professional wrestling. So this week, Mark, it's your pick. Who will we love while we still have him or her with us?
Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Nice. Who wants to go first?
John.
All right. I met Greg the Hammer Valentine at a comic book convention, and he was everything the rumors say. One-word answers. He was pissed off because he showed up late, and the Honky Tonk Man was giving him grief about it. And I said, how much are autographs? He said, 20. And then there was a little person there who was his agent, I guess, and he was also the Honky Tonk Man's agent.
Austin Theory?
No, this was a little person, and he said, "Oh, you're going to sign a doll. A doll's like 30." And Greg Valentine was like, "It's 20. I told the kid 20. It's 20." And the guy was like, "Oh, okay." And then I told him I was a big fan, and I was at Madison Square Garden when he wrestled Tito Santana for the Intercontinental title, and he said, "Oh yeah, that's on a DVD, isn't it?" And I said, "Yep, it's on this DVD you just signed." He's like, "Oh, wow. Yeah, thanks, kid." So I don't want to say I won him over, but he mellowed out a little bit. In any event, one of the very first people whose gimmick was he didn't have a gimmick. He was just a wrestler. And I know I've told this story on here before, but he showed up one time at a match kind of late. He walked through the gym in his clothes. I still remember what he was wearing. And a whole mob of people ran to him. Awesome in the ring. Kind of paralleled Ric Flair with the figure 4 and the face plant. They teamed up. They were also enemies. Great career. Wrestled a who's who for just about every championship you can imagine. Awesome worker. Big fan of Greg the Hammer Valentine.
One thing I'll always remember Valentine was he could wrestle anybody. He could technical with brawling. He wasn't just a brawler. He wasn't just a technical guy, but he could do it all. It just depends on who he was facing. Like John said, he was a guy without a gimmick, but he was, when you say somebody's a utility player, that would be an insult to Valentine, because he was like an upper card superstar utility player. You need him to go against Hogan, he'll go against Hogan. You need him to go against Steamboat, he'll go against Steamboat. Everywhere in between. You want him as a sidekick. He was, the believable sidekick. I think the thing I'll always remember, one of the early matches I seen was him and Dick Slater against the original Moondogs. And these guys just beat the fuck out of each other. I mean, Dick Slater was as nuts as could be. The Moondogs, they were a little bit out there. And Valentine just looked like he was having fun, just beating the shit out of everybody. Quiet dude, very short answers, but, with the guys today that don't know when to shut the fuck up, his talents are appreciated.
I echo everything that you guys said, and even late in his career when he had to dye his hair black and be rhythm and blues with Honky, he sold that, because that was not some of his greatest stuff when it was rhythm and blues. I loved him with Beefcake when he was that Dastardly Guy. The singles matches, what more can you say? He was the technical brawler that you needed when you needed him. And I love that he was one word, that he was quiet, just like you guys said. But I just wanted to give him his props. We see him, on shows that we go to and everything, and he was some person that we've always not brought up a lot. I don't know why you're laughing.
The AEW from...
Oh, yeah.
Where he was just sitting there, he's just like,
what the hell am I doing here?
Fuck? You know,
Yeah.
it looks like he wanted to have a beer in one hand and a joint in another.
He did. So, essentially, here we go. The English wrestler now has a Charlie D'Amelio drink from, it looks like Dunkin' Donuts or something.
No, it's just water, actually.
Do you have metal straws?
Yeah.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
I know.
All right, so John, end this for Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Greg the Hammer Valentine, cheers to being here.
Cheers to being here. All right, guys. Tonight, as we said, is AEW Revolution 2021, and the card looks like this. There's a couple ways to watch it. You can watch it on Bleacher Report. You can watch it on your normal streaming device, stuff like that. I think if you watch it on Bleacher Report, it's $10 cheaper. Is that correct, English Professor?
That's correct. That's what I saw. Yeah, that's exactly what I saw.
So, again, guys, I'll probably start watching it, but I won't finish it because work is extremely early tomorrow because we have some things going on, but I will get it. Pre-show, starting off with Riho and Thunder Rosa against Britt Baker and Reba Rebel.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I hope Britt and Reba win. You started this franchise with Britt. She needs to start winning some damn matches.
Yeah, I think they need to win. I can't believe this is on the pre-show, though.
I agree.
I'm upset this is on the pre-show, and I don't think we get a winner. I think that Britt and Thunder get their whole momentum going again because those two are, besides Shida, those two are the hottest in the division right now, and one of them needs a push. Essentially, yes, we love Britt, but I think it's Britt that needs it now because since she was, John said it, the first woman drafted by AEW, before she gets to be, just in no disrespect, Greg Valentine is lingering around all the time.
Agreed.
The Casino Battle Royal. So somebody going to pick a winner.
Holy cow.
Every tag team ever known is in this. So, if they're alive, they could be in it.
FTR's in it?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, everybody's.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's my pick. They're still a hot team right now. Tully Blanchard's brand essentially just kind of expanded there.
Unfortunately, man, I would love to see FTR get it, but I think they're still going to push the Doric Order, and I think one makeup of the Doric Order, whatever the fuck, is going to be the ones winning it.
Is this traditional where if one's out, the other's out, or is this like what they did last time where it's single elimination but they're tag teams?
They have not said.
They have not said.
Yeah.
I would imagine it's going to be single elimination, but they're tag teams.
Yeah. Who do you have, Mark?
I'm having Jurassic Express.
Oh, that's a good pick.
Yeah, I think they're pushing them a little bit too much, and I think something.
So help me God, if the Jurassic Express team has Marco Stunt on it and they fucking win, I'm coming down and punching you in the head.
I'll be sleeping. Well, no, that's one of the first matches probably. So, all right.
Oh no, and the way they've been booking lately, it'll probably be the fucking main event.
Miro and Kip Sabian against Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor. I hope this ends.
Yeah, Miro and Kip Sabian.
Chuck the fucking Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, I have to go with Chad. I think they're gonna win this.
They've just been taking a lot of shit lately.
Yeah. Shida against Ryu for the AEW Women's Championship.
Shida.
I will be. This is the one that I will be pissed if this happens. Face of the Revolution ladder match. Cody, Scorpio Sky, Penta, Lance Archer, Max Caster, in the TBA. This is where we get the TBA that Paul White was talking about. Who is the big surprise coming in tonight that is a possible Hall of Famer?
Now this is for a shot at the TV title? if I'm remembering
I believe
right.
so.
The TNT title.
TNT title, sorry.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Either Lance Archer or Scorpio Sky. I'll say Lance Archer.
I wanted to know who's coming in first, but okay.
Oh, I have no. Okay. So Mark, you and I talked about this. I said it's got to be somebody. It's not going to be like a Seth Rollins type name, but it's somebody who's probably in WWE who hasn't been seen on TV in a while. And I don't want to steal your thunder because you said Batista, but
did I say Batista?
When we talked on the phone, I think you did.
Oh.
There was a possibility. Geez. How about, I'm going to say John Cena.
Wow.
Okay.
That would piss.
That is not the answer, but whatever. It's the first thing that popped to my mind.
Two things on this. I can't just give a name straight out without giving a thought on this. There's a lot of talk about it being Kurt Angle.
Not going to be Kurt Angle.
It's not going to be him, in my opinion, because Paul White said Hall of Fame worthy.
Right.
Angle is already in the Hall of Fame. With that being said, who would it be if it's not somebody that's in the WWE Hall of Fame? Now,
Christian keeps popping up.
Christian is one that is popping up. His contract is out with WWE. A swerve on that being could be Batista.
But he's linked to the Hall of Fame because he was supposed to go in last year.
And he's in there with Evolution.
Right.
This, I honestly don't know if you're gonna, if I have to pick somebody, I'll go with Batista.
Others have thrown Bubba Ray out. Bubba's in the Hall of Fame. Others have thrown Brock out. I don't think it's going to be Brock. I would be pissed if it's Brock.
God, I hope not.
But it would be. This is one time where I'd like to see him because he'd be in a limited fucking role and they're not going to put the title on him for extended periods of time. But it's got to be somebody that's going to fuck Cody. I think it's going to come down to Cody because Cody wants a title shot. You know, that's where they're going. It's going to be somebody that's going to fuck Cody.
You really want to know what it's going to be? It's going to be returning Dustin Rhodes, and he screws over his brother.
Interesting.
Yeah, how are they playing it? It's interesting. I'm
excited.
Looking forward.
I'm excited. Who
So
do I
help
think
me
is going
God
to
if
win?
they bring out Joey Ryan or fucking Disco Inferno.
I would be all right with Disco Inferno. Joey Ryan, I would not be. I'm going with Scorpio Sky, by the way, to win this match. No matter who the person is.
Yeah, they've been kind of playing him up as a dick a little bit.
Adam Page against Matt Hardy. Hopefully this is on the pre-show instead.
Adam Page.
Adam Page should beat the shit out of him in a quick match.
I agree. Young Bucks against Jericho and MJF for the Tag Team Championships.
Boy, that's tough. I could see this going either way. I am going to say this is too big of a story to end with one match. And you need the Bucks chasing MJF and Chris Jericho. So that's why I say we're going to see new champions. Because it sets up rematches.
I think we're going to see new champions also. I'm going the direction of to get FTR in the title picture without having to have a match right against the Bucks, to get the title back. So if we have FTR challenging Jericho and MJF and they beat Jericho and MJF, then you can bring the Young Bucks back into the into the picture, it'll make a little bit more sense. I'm going to be rooting for MJF and Jericho. Wardlow's going to have something to do with this decision.
I think the Good Brothers are going to have something to do with this decision, screwing over the Bucks.
I would fucking love that.
I think so. Street Fight. And I've heard that this is already taped. Sting and Darby Allin against Brian Cage and Ricky Starks. You're not going to get a match legitimately from Sting.
Yeah.
Even though he took that bump, you're going to get one of the cinematic things.
Anytime those guys come back, they win. So that's why I'm saying Sting and Darby Allin.
I say Sting and Darby Allin because they're the good guys. Cage and Starks really wouldn't gain or lose a lot by winning or losing this match. If you have Sting and Darby Allin lose...
What'd you bring Sting in for?
Yeah, you're back to WWF bullshit of bringing Sting in, and he fucking lost all of his matches when he was in WWE. So I just don't see him doing that.
Agreed. Agreed on both parts. AEW Championship Exploding Barbed Wire Death Match of Hell. Omega and Moxley.
Omega. It's for the title, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Omega retains.
Unfortunately, I'll agree with John, but I think this is where the Good Brothers are going to interfere.
I agree with both of you. Good Brothers can interfere a couple times tonight.
Or the Young Bucks could come back and interfere in this too and finally make that resolve that fuck AEW, we're with these guys.
Yeah. All right, you guys, there you go. AEW Revolution tonight on your local listings, however the hell you want to watch it. Or it was yesterday because you didn't listen to it today. So I hope you liked it. Or it was a couple days ago. Quickly, what do you guys have? Anything to the table?
I just want to say that Young Rock continues to be a fun show to watch. My only issue with this week's episode was the barbecue on the beach. In episode 1, we get the Rock's mother telling us, Rocky Johnson was talking about working the gimmick, and then Rock's mom says that's why we're not allowed to hang out with Uncle Iron Sheik. But then you go to the beach, and there's Andre the Giant, Rocky Johnson, Iron Sheik, the Wild Samoans. So that was kind of contradicted what you said in the first episode. Still good stuff, though.
I love JYD on this. I
do, too.
JYD is really good.
Yeah.
Chad's got a fucking list. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I couldn't remember the guy's name, but seems something to keep an eye on. There's a couple of lawsuits against Ring of Honor specifically by wrestlers' talent that's challenging this independent contractor versus employee debate. This could, it's not just, okay, their little lawsuit. This is something that could really affect straight up WWE,
all of wrestling,
fucking hammer the piss out of them because of stuff. Just something to kind of keep an eye out, because these rulings, if they go one way, this could really break WWE as far as a lot of the bullshit that they get away with. Second thing, and I got to say, guys, if you have the information, John, if you want it, I'll get it to you. You got to check out New Japan. They've had like 5-6 cards in the last week and a half. Their New Japan Cup tournament started. I sat and watched nights 1 and 2 yesterday. Not a bad match on the fucking card. Guys, Will Ospreay, Switchblade Jay White, Okada is back after his back injury. Guys, this is the best wrestling
out there
going on. I sat and watched both nights and listened, because I'm fluent in Japanese, listen to the commentary in Japanese. Now, that's bullshit. but they didn't have the English commentary done for it yet. It didn't bother me. I didn't care because I knew what the fuck was going on. And they do not mic their people do not bleep stuff out because Jay White was calling people motherfuckers and everything all along last night. But great wrestling, guys. You gotta look it up.
Quickly, NWA is coming back. As you guys saw that was something I wanted to talk about last week. NWA is coming back. It's going to be on Fight TV. Coming back with a pay-per-view first for $20, guys. We have a Fight TV promo that'll save you money. We'll spring it on you next week. And then it's their weekly shows. They're on Fight TV as well. Check it out. But we're long, so John?
Remember, Chad, just because you trash, it doesn't mean you can't do great things.
It's called a garbage can, not a garbage cannot.
Finally.